Today we're going to be looking at a game between two legends, Judit Polgar and Vasily Topalov. Judit Polgar, the best female chess player the world has ever seen, by far. She makes it obvious that these woman titles are not needed because she became a GM, like a legitimate GM, not a WGM. At age 15, she entered the FIDE list top 100 at the age of 12. 2,700 plus, she beat Garry Kasparov. Actually, look up the game between Garry Kasparov where he cheated against her. He made a touch move error, right? That was before engines, so cheating was, touch move. But he touched a piece, moved it back. She called over to the arbiter. He was like, I didn't touch a piece. And then they just took his side for some reason. So not a fan. But yeah, she was able to beat everybody. She was a major tactician. It's funny because she is sometimes on Twitch commentating with David Howell, who is a absolute beast. I like David Howell. He's a funny guy, and he's humble, and he's a great chess player. And Robert Hess, who I also like, great commentators. And it's funny, they're always like, knight to f1, bishop c1, bishop f1, knight d2, like all these backwards retreating moves. She's like, my guys, I was going to sack on e4. That's what I was thinking about, and it doesn't even cross their mind. And then much of the time, it is the best move. So it's funny. There's many different ways to approach chess that can get you at a rating of 2,700 plus. And okay, the real life Queen's Gambit plays the King's Gambit. I'm going to leave the bar off because the bar goes boop, 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 boop with the King's Gambit, and then people are like, King's Gambit, not a real opening. Guys, not even going to say anything about that. I play knight f3. I do like this main line where you can play either knight e5, which if you respect your opponent, you play. If you don't respect your opponent, you play knight g5, you play the Algier Gambit. Many people make a mistake here of playing bishop c4, but the problem is they go d5 and then they guard g4 and their king is just safe on g7. So don't go for this. If you play this, I have a course on YouTube where you go d4. More important to take that pawn and then gain the tempo with the light squared bishop and bring your rook over. But she played bishop c4, which was Bobby Fischer's go-to. He said if you want to play to win in the King's Gambit, you got to go bishop c4. Something like that. d5, the point is black does not care about the d-pawn. He just likes to open up his light squared bishop, and open up his light squared bishop he does. We got e takes d5, so equal material, bad light squared bishop. Let's see how the game develops. Queen h4, this is usually played before pawn to d5. Don't go g3 because then they're gonna, you win the queen, but you lose a rook and they make a new queen. So don't go for that. You got to play king f1. The king stands safe on f1. Beauty of the game. Bishop d6, guarding f4, blockading d5. So that is a very bad light squared bishop now. Knight f3 gains a tempo on the queen, and he elects to retreat to h5, pinning the knight. You can imagine some bishop g4 stuff, and then you don't actually threaten it with h3 because the pawn is pinned because the rook hangs. Kind of like a Scandinavian, actually, now that I think of it. Knight to c3. Do not neglect this knight, the queenside knight in the King's Gambit. It's kind of like neglecting the light squared bishop in the Stonewall Dutch. You got to bring it to d7 to bring the queenside rook over at a moment's notice. So knight c3 is a great move. Knight e7, right? If h3 is ever played, then we get boom and white loses. So d4, controlling the center, opening up the dark squared bishop. You control e5 now. Your queen is not pinned because the knight is on c3. I guess that's another aspect of the move. King f2. As you guys have known, if you saw, I beat that streamer, Nemsko, the WGM. She fell into this queen trap like many times, and it's king f2 is a great move, connecting all the pieces. Right now, h3 maybe could be possible, but still bad because you create holes in your position, right? Don't push pawns unless you have a concrete plan. Creates holes in your position. If your opponent's good at positional chess, they will exploit it. This knight on d7 is not going to stay on d7. It can rotate over to the king side or the queen side. It elects to rotate over to the queen side. Bishop to b3, as always seen in the Spanish. It guards the pawn. Could have gone to e2, but then you shut down vision of your rook. So bishop to b3 is a good move. They take, we take, they take, and we go c4, booting the knight. The knight elects to jump in. She removes the knight and then takes the pawn. Now they have a better dark squared bishop, but maybe c4 is coming. c5, sorry, and then we're going to make the light squared bishop even better and with a tempo. It's not really an overextension. Typically, it's an overextension when the pawn chain is locked and they can pry open with b6. This is an open position. Black has the bishop pair, so white's going to at least need to make their one bishop very good. Bishop f4, where does the rook go? Does it go backwards? Does it go forwards? Well, now it goes forwards. And then we get bishop g4, and this is a very bad move. It looks good, but you know, there's more dimensions in chess than just looking good. Not only was she a tactician, she was good at positional chess. A backwards rook move. Typically, you see a backwards bishop move, a backwards knight move. Backwards rook moves are, I would say, more rare. X-raying both the bishops here on the 4th rank. Queen shifts over to f5 on the same file as the king. But now we get bishop c2. I don't think that's an inaccuracy. I think that's a great move. Setting up many, many tactics, right? If you get like rook e8, then bad things happen. Maybe a 300 would do that, not a 2700. But a 2700 played bishop h5. We're all humans. We all make mistakes. Why is this a mistake? Rook e5. When the inaccuracy becomes the brilliancy, that's when the game becomes fun. The bishop cannot take because we take the queen. So the queen has to move, or they can play a switch. They can do bishop takes knight. And now you cannot take with the queen because you lose the bishop with check, and then you'll probably lose the rook, and then for certain you'll lose the game. If pawn takes, white is in a little bit of a checkmating box, so we don't want that. So king takes. That's the funny thing about the king's gambit. Your king's in the center of the board, and it's safe, right? Don't see ghosts. She did not see ghosts. Bishop takes is not a discovery because the queen will get taken. So we get queen f6. Now you could just put the game away. Rook f5. You just win a piece. A clean piece. And now the game is over. He plays a few more moves, bringing his rook to the center file. She creates a battery, tying down the queen to h6, but more importantly, opening up the queenside rook that was not neglected at the beginning of the game. We get f5, a final try, threatening g5. Maybe you guard the pawn and then trap the rook with g5. So h4, stopping any nonsense. We get rook to e4. Do not take that. You will get discovered and lose a queen. So a backwards queen move, right? Now we aim at the rook. We protect the rook. X-ray vision over to the queen. We're defending the pawn. Everything is solid. Rook to e1, and Topalov resigns. Why did he resign? Well, you're just down a clean piece, no counterplay. f5 will hang. King side is very weak, so I think a fair position to resign it. So, a great King's Gambit game by the real Queen's Gambit. That is Judit Polgar, an absolute legend. Thank you guys for watching, as always. I hope you have a great day, and see you next time.